Hi again, everybody. This video is sponsored by contribution from Anonymous as another recording. So here we go.
Hi Ollie, and hi all of Ollie's subscribers listening. I want to tell a short story about someone who I'm getting out of my life, and I'm aware of all the narc tactics, and I know this is really hard to explain. I wish I could say it better. This has to be anonymous because the person could get in trouble. Okay, so this person was living at my house for a while. I was helping them out while they got out of prison. And I did the hoarding video. I think that was also anonymous. And I've come to realize they've been treating me badly, and they behave like a narcissist in some ways. And I was putting up with abuse, and I wasn't putting up with it over this last year. I was realizing, why are they mad at me in my own house and I'm doing nothing but being good to them? And I set down my foot.
Because the nicer you are to the narcissist, the more they abuse you and take advantage. Now, I obviously know who this is, and I know who the person is she's talking about, but we'll carry on.
And said, you're not allowed to yell at me on my own house. And then they just do texting or email instead, which they were thrilled to do that because you can sound however you want in text and email. But in June, or no, it was July, I wrote them a letter saying they had to move out by October 1st and they had to pay rent. And then by August, when they hadn't paid, I needed it to help out with other family members I was helping also. I really had to ask them for that money, and it just worked out that I just had to be really rude about it. I didn't mean to be, but they tried to talk to me about stuff, and I'm like, do you have the money? And they're like, well, I'm like, I just need the money, that's all I need. I don't want to talk about it. You had to pay a couple $100,000, no big deal, but I needed it to help another family member, and they could pay rent anyway, but
they don't care.
So July was a really big decision for me, and then August.
Look, you bring the narcissist in, everything's going to be about them. It's always going to be. It doesn't matter what your situation is. It's about them.
Asking for money is a very hard thing for me to do, and then September to keep asking for the rent and the money. And since the person found out I didn't want them living here, they kind of moved out right away and never called me, talked to me, texted me, nothing. Like, they just dropped me like a hot potato, which is fine, but it still kind of hurts your feelings because you just want to be friends, but you can't unless you do everything completely their way, which is irrational. But they're doing better in life, having a job, getting out, doing stuff. So it was good for them that I said they had to move out because they had to stand on their own 2 feet, and they're doing better. So then they paid me for, I just said July, August, and September. But October, they still owed me for their phone. They hadn't switched out of my name. And they came by and gave me that money in cash at the beginning of October. Here it is, 2016. And I messed up my budget. I put it down as in my checking account when it was actually cash. I don't get out because I don't have a car, and then I made a mistake and I almost overcharged my checking because I pay everything and then I save the mortgage for right before it's due on the 15th, 16th. And then I realized, oh man, I spent the cash because during the storm, that hurricane that came by, I had unexpected expenses and I spent the cash, and I think about it, I got myself in a bind. So I really prayed about what do I do? And my son gave me some extra money. He gave me $100, and I texted this person and said, can you give me $100? I messed up my budget, and your stuff's still here anyway. I had packed it and stored it for them, but they could pay $100, half, instead of $200 for rent, since they're not really here anymore, $100. So they did come by and give that to me, but it happened to be a time when my son was here sitting with me, and he came in and he almost stood too close to me, but then he backed up and talked and talked and talked, because he talks nonstop. And then it was late at night and he had to go, so he just left. And but he gave me the $100. So that was the beginning of October. Oh no, that was just for the phone at the beginning of October. I apologize. The middle of the month of October is when I realized I made the mistake. He gave me the phone money at the beginning of the month with a little bit extra. See, he doesn't have a problem with the money like that per se, but he will skate by. He cannot. It's hard to explain, but he's not completely overt like some of you guys have to deal with in that way. He did pay the rent, and he did pay his phone. But when I got in a bind mid-October, I figured it was appropriate to ask him for help, which my son gets upset when I say that, because he's like, he's not helping you, you're helping him. I'm still storing his things. They could be in the storage unit, but they're still here at my house. So that's fair anyway. And he was going to come by on a Saturday morning to give it to me. And I was sewing a quilt I wanted to fix, mend a blanket I had, and I just had little projects to do on a Saturday, and like everything I want to do I think is stupid. But when I think about how this visit went this Saturday, when they came to give me that $100, they did come and give it to me, but when they showed up at the house, it was like they're always conducting class or something. You have to sit and listen to them talk. And he's showing me his phone of his business contacts, and he has this good steady job, and he also has all these international business contacts that are coming up, and that's what I thought he would be, making a lot of money because he has skills, but he was just goofing off all year. I mean, he was reassimilating to society, but and just the way he talked about his business opportunities, and like it's so important, it's the most important thing in the world. And a neighbor came by who missed him being around and was kind of a buddy with him and wanted to see him, and he went to the door and answered, and it was like, well, we're having this heavy conversation. Like, what's that heavy? Like, it's so important. And I didn't mind having a cup of coffee and talking for a few minutes, and then I don't want to say just give me the money and get out of here, but so I listened to him about his job, and I listened to him about his opportunities, and I offered him a cup of coffee. I figured that's like a time limit. You have your cup of coffee, you finish your chat, you go. You don't have to spend all day on the middle of a Saturday, which is a productive day. I could be doing a lot of little projects I wanted to do, which I couldn't say one big thing like, oh, I've got to paint this room or something, but I wanted to mend the blanket, and I wanted to fix a thing, and I wanted to clean something. I wanted to do a bunch of little projects. You know what Saturdays are? And he's talking about this big important conversation about he's going to be working with energy companies, and I might be interested in like it's saving everybody's life, and you have to be so impressed with it. I kept a distance from him because in the middle of the conversation, this neighbor came by and wanted him to drive him, and he's a nice guy and he'll do you favors, so he's like, I'll be back. And he hadn't given me the money, so I was like, okay. And he went to drive that guy to get his battery charged for his car or whatever and pick it up. And he came back a little while, but I got a text from him saying, I'm here. Which, like, it isn't even like normal conversation. Like, I'm like, okay, do we have an appointment? it's so hard to explain narcissism because to people on the outside it looks like, what's the big deal? But here it's like 2 weeks later, it's still really annoying me. And I'm really glad I'm getting this person out of my life. Because I was back to sewing my blanket I wanted to fix, and I had to stop what I was doing because I didn't want to talk to him in the spare bedroom. I wanted to come out and talk to him in the dining room. And he finished his coffee, and then I was just, oh, he said, say, here's the money. And I said, thank you. And I tucked it away. And then I was just like waiting for him to leave. I went and sat on the sofa in the living room. And he came and sat on the other end of the sofa. And then he pulled out his phone and started showing me pictures of his trip. He drove somewhere and took his nephews and grandkids to the zoo somewhere. And he was showing me pictures. And he got closer and closer. And I had to keep touching me with his arm. And he noticed it makes me uncomfortable. I don't like it. But like, every time he says, oh, is that okay? I like always say, oh, it's okay. So I'm like always lying. I don't mean to be lying, but I'm always saying it's okay when it's not okay.
He knows how to make you nervous. And he's playing this mental game with you, seeing if you're going to challenge him. He knows he owes you. Okay, but keeping you off balance like this is his way of controlling you. Okay, if you're holding his stuff and you needed him to pay, you were giving him a break by telling him to give you half instead of, then it was like, I have things to do. I need your money. Please go. Okay, and then he wants to tie up your time with his listening to his delusions of grandeur. Okay, and he may have a decent job coming out of prison. It's possible. Sounds like he's working in some kind of energy field, maybe oil. Who knows? I know they hire felons without a problem. Okay, and they do make very good money. But this guy is all about his own delusions of grandeur, and it's all about keeping you off balance. Okay, and Wyatt was probably so uncomfortable when he showed up with your son there. He probably wasn't expecting your son to be there. He probably had something else in mind, probably to attack you a lot harder. But he couldn't do it with your son there. But then he wanted to stall you out, waste your time, take the neighbor, any opportunity, and because you keep giving it to him, and he's getting off on it every time. He knows touching you annoys you. He wants you to fight back so then he can flip it on you and flip out, and you know that, and that's what you're avoiding. It needs to be business-like. If he owes you money, say money or go, money or go. If you guys got a phone in your name, cancel the fucking phone. You don't need to help him.
I just really hated how I behaved the whole day. I was like, why did I even make him a cup of coffee? Why did I sit there and talk for 3 hours? Why did I?
Because you're in fear of the confrontation. That's why. And this is where I talk about when you try to face your narcissist. It never works. Okay, because they get you back in that same state of mind that they've had you in the entire time. And you can't think straight. And then once they're out of your face, you're doing what you're doing now, kicking yourself. I should have said this. I should have said that. Why did I do this? I should have done that.
And get closer and closer and show me pictures, and then he still it seemed like he wanted to say something about something, but I don't know. I just got up and I was like, okay, well, thanks for bringing the money by, and I'm glad you had fun on your trip and all, and I got to get back to doing my stuff. So I went in the other room thinking he would just leave. And I'm sewing on the blanket, and he comes in the bedroom saying, well, I just wanted to talk to you about, I can't change my legal address right away because it's a pain to get the driver's license changed, and I'm not sure if where I'm staying now is going to be permanent or not. Can I just keep your address for a few more months? Which I could kind of see like a desperation in him, and I could understand you really want help when you need it, and I don't mind giving help when you need it, but it's got to do this whole rigmarole of...
Wait a minute. He got the driver's license, didn't he, after prison? With your address on it. That wasn't too difficult. What are you buying this bullshit? He is just trying to keep an anchor there so he can pull you back in. So he can pull you back. What is this bullshit? it's a pain in the ass to change your driver's license. He got the fucking thing, didn't he? Coming out of prison? You tell him to get out of here.
Hours of making me feel uncomfortable, and like Ali had said in a previous video, it makes you feel off balance, so you do what they want, and that's exactly what was happening. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. And then he was so relieved and happy. He's like, oh, he came and gave me a hug. And I didn't want to give him a hug. I'd shown him body language the whole time. I didn't approach him and give him a hug when I saw him. I sat across the dining room table. We had coffee. I sat at the end of the sofa.
Doesn't matter.
When he got close to me, I backed away and stood up and walked away. And I said goodbye and walked.
That's even worse. The body, because he could see, he could read the body language, but you're not telling him anything. So now you're giving him all the signs, like, I am vulnerable, I don't want you here, but you're not saying it to him. So you're giving him the opportunity to come over and do what he's doing to you.
Away without hugging, like, people don't really hate it that you do have to do that. You have to just be like, get away from me, don't touch me, I don't like it. Instead of so
it's not even get away from me because I don't like it. It's get away from me because you know I don't like it. And that's why you're doing it.
Then they hugged me as if they were leaving. They were going out the door. I walked and followed them to the front door. As they're going out the door, they said, oh, and if someone comes to check if I'm still living here, you got to say, yes, I'm still living here.
All right, that's his probation officer. Obviously, that's his probation officer. He's up to no fucking good. If you lie to the probation officer, that is a crime. He is asking you to commit a fucking crime. The only person that needs to know where he lives is his parole officer. That's who needs to know to make sure whatever he's asking you now to commit a crime, to lie to a parole officer. Who do you think would be coming looking for him?
The jail. I'm like, well, I can understand because I'm always trying to be on somebody's side. And like when my kids were teenagers, I couldn't afford the $300 a month car insurance. I just really prayed a lot. And I taught them to drive really well, and they were good kids, and they did drive well, and there wasn't a problem, but I did kind of skate by them, so I could see like skating by sometimes with technicalities and rules, and I'm really an honest person. I follow the rules and I obey the law, and don't do anything wrong in life. I'm always helping people, but so I was like, don't worry about it. But after he left, it just kept eating away at me and eating away at me and eating away at me that, he did that on purpose. Dragged it out the whole day, conversation for hours, just to make me feel uncomfortable and put me off my guard. And then at the last minute be like, okay, well, I'm still going to just leave my stuff here a few more months and use this as a legal residence. But, if anybody comes to check, you gotta make sure you say I still live here, which I don't have a problem. It's still his legal residence, so. But it's like, now it's on me if I say the wrong thing and he gets sent back to jail because he's not sleeping here every night. He's living wherever he's living. He's visiting. He visits a lot of different people.
Did you commit the crime that sent him to prison? Or did he? This isn't your problem. This is his problem.
He helps at church. He has his own office there. They let him.
Because if he was a decent person and didn't abuse you, you wouldn't have had to ask him to leave to begin with.
He'll probably stay there. He has a key. He's a good person in a lot of ways, and trustworthy and reliable and dependable and smart and all this stuff, but it's like this personal family dynamic thing where it was me.
And it just cut off. I guess that was the end. Hold on. All right. Look. This guy's not a good person. Just because he's nice sometimes and can present good quality, that's an act. He's asking you to lie for him and to put yourself in legal jeopardy. How is that a good person? Come on. Until you stand up to him clearly and concisely, this is going to continue. Because you're giving him exactly what he wants. You're giving him the uncomfortable body language and not saying anything and giving him the opportunity to control you. That's exactly what's happening. And it will not change. He will not change. And you cannot be lying to a probation officer or a parole officer. You put everything in jeopardy. That's insane. That is insane. You owe him nothing. You've done more than enough. More than enough. So, thank you again for your contribution. Thank you for your story. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a narcissist you'd like to expose or a topic you'd like me to cover, you know what to do with the PayPal and the email link in the description box. Remember, when you do email me your story, to please put at the top of the email whether it's with or without contribution and what name you'd like to go by. This is Ollie Matthews. Thanks for watching. See you all again soon. Bye.